Hi there, this is Bethany from Yoga for Change. I'm part of the Tampa Bay part of Yoga for Change, and so glad that you're joining me today for a little series on strengthening core, integration, and stabilization. Right. So to start, you might need something to put under your hands. I have these blocks. If you don't have blocks, that is also fine. You could use a book. You also don't need the blocks. I am sitting on a bolster. You could also use a cushion or a pillow from your bed, and I have a blanket here. These are items that I just have for comfort. This is nothing that if you don't have, you can't do the practice. So feel free to definitely do the practice with anything. Let's come to lie on our back. And as you begin to lower down onto your back, just take this time to settle into your shape. I have my knees bent, my feet are touching the mat. You don't have to be in this shape. Take a shape that feels best for you, what makes you feel most supported and comfortable. If you need props or you need some support under your head or under your hips, please feel free to get whatever items make you feel most comfortable. And begin here with your breath. You can bring your hands so that they're touching either the diaphragm muscle between your ribs or the belly itself. You can put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, finding deeper connection with the breath. Feeling the wave of breath in your body. And staying with those sensations, staying with the present moment. Use this time to drop deeper into your feeling body and let your mind relax, releasing the grip of the future or the past, settling instead into this moment. And stay with all of the emotions and all of the sensations that arise for you. And you can begin to let your arms rest now alongside your body. Let the shoulders drop towards the mat. Release to gravity. Draw one knee in towards your chest and then draw the other knee. And I'd like to have your knee over your hip. So when we draw the knees in towards the chest, we like to draw them very far in. For our purposes today, we'll bring the knees over the hips and hold here. You can flex your feet if you'd like. And just notice how much effort it takes to hold the knees directly over the hips. Are your ribs lifting up off of the mat? And if they are, can you soften them and try to draw them down? You'll feel some engagement in the stabilizing muscles of your abdomen. And if you're feeling quite a bit of effort here, feel free to drop your feet down and rest for a few moments and then come back in. So you don't have to be at a point where you can't breathe or you're holding your breath. That might mean that you're working a little too hard. Let's begin to drop one heel towards the mat, staying in this shape. My ribs are down, and then lift that foot back up. The other heel drops. Heel touches only the heel, and then come back up. Good. Now you might be able to keep a neutral spine here, which would mean you have just a little mouse house that you could slide your hand under with your low back. But sometimes we need to really activate our abdominal muscles to help us do this. It looks easy, but it's not, right? And if you want to try, you could flatten your low back towards the mat a little bit and see if that gives you some support. Sometimes it makes it harder. Everyone is different. Everybody has their own needs. So find which one works for you. Letting the back be in its neutral shape or maybe flattening it towards the mat. Now I'm beginning to really feel a lot of sensation here. Just a couple more at your own pace. Okay, the next time one heel is touching the mat, let the other heel touch the mat. Pause here for a few moments, feel your sensations. Where were you feeling that work? I was feeling it a lot in my abdominal center. Sometimes we can feel it in the hip flexor as well. That's just a sign that the abdominals weren't as engaged as they can be, but it's not bad. And I'm taking my legs so wide that my feet aren't even on the mat anymore. Drop the knees to the right. And I'm extending my left knee forward without straightening my leg. My knee is still bent. I'm just going to lengthen from my hip to my knee and notice how that feels. Let's come back through the center. Drop the knees to the left. I'm flexing the right foot, pressing forward with my right knee. So I'm lengthening from the right hip to the right knee. And just stay with your sensations. This can feel really nice. And we'll bring the knees back into the center. And we'll bring those feet towards each other. And stay in this shape for a few moments. Let's bring the arms forward, upward. Roll the palms so that the hands are facing each other. I'm going to reach towards the ceiling, allowing my shoulders to lift up, kind of curl forward a little. And then retract those shoulders, pulling down. Reaching up and pulling back. And again, can your ribs just stay exactly where they are? They don't need to move at all. This is completely coming from the shoulders. Protract, retract. Good. So when I'm reaching towards the ceiling, now I can't feel my shoulders touching the mat. And when I pull back, you can feel them completely touching. Good. I'm going to bring the arms into where they're reaching towards the ceiling. Take the one arm overhead. Maybe your thumb will touch. It's touching my bolster. Touch overhead. Maybe it won't. Lift it back up. Reach. And lift. Good. And again, can the ribs remain down? So this will require us to bring a little bit of our attention to the back rib cage. Bringing attention to our back. Do you still feel contact with the mat? If my arm is lifting overhead and I was lifting my ribs, it would look like this. I'm trying to keep them nice and engaged and dropping down. The next time the palms are facing each other, keep them there. Let's lift the legs again so that the knees are over the hips. Flex your feet. It doesn't have to be very forceful, but just have them flex. I'm dropping the left heel towards the mat, lifting the right arm overhead, and coming back. Dropping the right heel towards the mat, lifting the left arm overhead, coming back. So smooth with control, trying to keep the back ribs on the mat. Sometimes this can be like a coordination drill as well. Take your time. Stay in the body. When you want to jump out of your body, then that's the time we really need to mentally focus. Stay here. Beautiful. Just one more on each side. And then next time the arms are up and the legs are up, bend your elbows, let your arms rest. Lower one heel, lower the other heel, completely relax. I'm going to walk my feet out a little bit wider, drop my knees in towards each other so they're holding each other up, making a little pyramid shape. I'm taking a few rounds of breath here. So in our yoga practice, we enjoy creating stressors on the body and then releasing those stressors. And how quickly can we recover? How quickly can we come back to our neutral mindset? Tapping back in with that deep well of stillness and peace that we know exists. Great. I'm going to walk my heels back so my feet are parallel. Bring one knee up. Bring the other knee up. Again, knees over hips. My arms are going to come into a T shape. This might be comfortable for you. You might also want them by your side. Choose which one you love. And I'm dropping the right knee to the right, opening the leg out to the side, but I don't want my pelvis to move. And then I'm bringing it back up. So if I take my fingertips and I bring them onto these hip points here, I'm dropping my left knee to the left now without tipping my pelvis. Coming back up. Right goes to the right. Okay, left to the left. If I were tipping my pelvis, it would look like this. See, this whole thing is moving. And we're going to do that in a second, but we're not doing it now. It's not wrong to do that. It's just not what we're doing. So I just want you to feel your range of motion, basically. And you'll also feel some stabilization occurring here. Because we're holding the pelvis still and the leg is very heavy, when the leg goes out to the side, the pelvis is going to want to tip. And we're engaging muscles so that we don't tip. Good. Stabilization work isn't very pizzazzy, but it's really deep work. Nice job. The next time the knees are in the center, feel free to bring one foot down and bring the other foot down. Take a moment here, just notice your sensations. Good. Then with the arms down, either down by your side or out to the side again, we'll bring the knees up, knee over hip. Feet can be flexed or they can be relaxed. It's not that important for this one. I'm dropping both knees towards one side, towards the right, and I'm just noticing. And then I'm using the strength of my side abdomen to draw the knees back up. So this is not a quick movement. Dropping towards the other side, towards the left in this case. Both of my shoulder blades are still touching the mat. So I'm only going to go as far as I can and keep them down. And then I'm using my side muscles to draw these legs up. We'll do this a few times. Now I'm trying to keep my legs parallel, not moving towards each other. And you can explore some options here. Sometimes I take one leg long. That's going to add a little more weight. And then begin to lift it up. If you begin to lift it up and you just can't lift it, bend the knee, come back to the first option. Okay. So you can notice there's just a little more weight. I'm switching legs each time. It does not matter if you switch legs or not. I'm just doing it because I want a little variety right now. Good. And then you can also explore taking both legs long. There's that little space between my legs still. So if you're using blocks, you could actually put a block between your legs. Dropping them any amount towards the side. And then lifting it so much heavier with both legs straight. Good. Sometimes one side is far stronger than the other. And you'll notice. Good. So any of these options are available to you. Both legs, one leg long, or both knees bent. They're all fine. One is not better than the other. We're just adding a little bit more weight. And we want to use the weight that's right for us because we don't want to do anything that's too much. That's going to cause stressors on the body that the body's not going to be able to let go of easily. Good. Next time the legs are in the center, you can begin to bring the feet back towards the mat. Take a moment. And sometimes when the abdominal muscles get really tired, the hip flexor muscles will kick in. That's where your leg meets your body. And when those muscles kick in, it's just a little indicator that the abs got really tired. So it's something to think about. And when you're ready, let's roll to one side. Come up into an all-fours kneeling shape. And this might be where you might want some support under your knees. If your knees are tender, I would recommend this. And from this shape, let's do a cat-cow. So I'm going to curl and flex my spine. Notice how that feels. Then lift my tail towards the ceiling, drop down, looking forward, stretching the muscles we were just strengthening. Curling up, flexing your spine, lift your tailbone, draw your heart forward. I want you to feel those abdominal muscles lengthening in this part of the movement. Good. Beautiful. Just a few more. And the next time you're in the neutral space, you're here in the center. Let's step the left arm forward and come onto the pinky finger. My thumb is facing up. Keeping your ribs in. We don't want the ribs to be hanging down like this, so we want to use our strength to draw those ribs in. Lift your arm and lower. Good. Beautiful. Next time that fingertip touches the mat, pause. We'll do the other side. So you can take a moment, see what releases. So my ribs really want to hang down. So when I'm pulling them in and holding them, that's hard for me. So it's fingertip, pinky finger touching, lift up, and lower. And you might notice a very strong difference between how high you can lift your arm on one side. And this has a lot to do with just your daily life. I'm right-handed, this side doesn't go as high. And there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you if you have these little imbalances either. The next time my pinky finger touches the mat, I'm going to bring that arm in. I'm going to take a few moments. I'm just going to release, wag my tail a little bit. And from this position now, I'm going to lean myself forward. Now if your wrists do not like this at all, you can have another choice would be to come onto fists. Good. Lean yourself forward and press yourself back. As I lean forward, my body thinks I'm falling, and because our bodies are so smart, they begin to brace. So they're like, no, 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 I'm not going to let you fall. And then release. So just feel, notice when you feel that engagement, those abdominal muscles drawing up to try to pull you back. Good. Next time you come up, pause. If your wrists are not liking this, just come up, give it a little roll around. So you can continue to do that one. If you want, you can move to another one, which would combine the arm movement we just did, lifting the arm up, and then gliding forward. Now notice I did not go that far before I felt some very strong impact, and then I'm going to come back. So this is an option. you could always go back to the first one. If you're lifting the arm, we're going to want to do both sides. Good. Lean yourself forward till your body thinks you're falling. Those abdominal muscles are going to draw up to support you. Beautiful. I'm not really counting. I'm just doing as many as I can until I feel very fatigued. Bring that hand back down. Everybody come up nice and tall. Good job. We'll bring the arms forward, palms facing down, so my arms are reaching out at hip height. At shoulder height. Done. So I'm going to pause here and then begin to lean back. So I'm in a nice long shape, and I say that only because sometimes it's tempting to hinge here, or we'll sit our bum down. We just want to stay in the flat position. I'm feeling, again, my abdominal muscles are engaging to prevent me from falling. So are my quads. Good. So I find that this movement really gives me some awareness of how much the abdominal muscles really exist for stabilization. They're not really prime movers, but they don't want us to fall. They really brace us when they can. And so you're really engaging in good core strengthening when you're simply standing, because standing is a balancing pose. When you're balancing on one leg, your body doesn't want you to fall. Good, nice. Let's come back into the all-fours kneeling position. We'll stretch one leg back, stretch the other leg back, coming into our plank shape. And here in the plank shape, we don't really want to hang down so our shoulders are squeezing towards each other. I want to push the floor away. So earlier when we were pressing forward and protracting and retracting, use that memory to press the floor away, come up a little bit. Good. Can you hold for a couple more rounds of breath? As you're holding, can you push back through your heels, engage the legs as well. Nice job. Slowly lower your knees. Let's reach back towards a child's pose if this is a comfortable position for you. Rock forward. Let's just take a push-up. Your knees can be down. Just go down as low as you can. Press yourself up. Maybe in 2 or 3. Turn the toes under if you're not already in a plank. Take another plank shape. Can you push the floor away, moving in the upper back? And do you feel that a little more in your abdominal muscles? Can you press back through your heels? Good. You can drop your knees whenever you feel like you need that support. And now everybody can drop their knees down. Press back towards the child's pose shape. Come forward, and then maybe just some push-ups here. You can have your legs long. I'm going to have my knees bent. Just one more. Good. I'm going to step the left foot forward. And I'm stepping my left foot outside of my left hand. So it's wide. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my right leg. So I'm going to come up onto my tippy fingers. I need a little more height. Good. And now I'm in just a wide-legged squatting shape. Pressing down into the heels, lifting myself up. Take my feet towards each other. I'm going to move this blanket off of my mat. Coming into a Tadasana shape. So again, we've just put some stressors on our body. We want to come back to our neutral. Can you let your breath come back to its natural inhale and exhale? Great. Let's do a balancing shape. the legs fairly wide apart. You might need blocks for this. I'm going to grab these blocks and just put them near the edges of my mat. You also don't need blocks, so you'll be fine if you don't have them. My legs are pretty wide apart for balance purposes. I'm turning the left leg out. Right toes are turning in a little bit. Right heel is going to go out. So we have a little stability. I'm just begin to move through my pelvis. And the next time my pelvis is tucking in, I'm tipping downward. I'm going to keep it here. Bend this knee. And hop my back foot towards my front foot. Not a whole lot, but maybe a little hop. Grabbing this block, I'm going to touch it to the floor and begin to lift the back leg up. Now I can just stay here looking down, or I could roll myself open and maybe lift this arm up, coming towards Ardha Chandrasana or balancing half moon. This arm can also lounge down. Good. Now I'm feeling a lot of the same sensations in the abdomen. They're trying to balance me, yeah? Let's see if I can come out the way I came in. Good. Take a moment here in the center, maybe wiggle a little bit. So obviously there's a lot going on in this pose. The hips are really strong in this pose. But from, about your mid-thigh up to your ribs, this whole area is considered your core. So this is what we're working on. Also, your back is part of your core. We can't forget the back just because our eyes are facing forward. So let's roll out. Good. Other leg's going to come in just a little bit. Shift those hips so that you get a sensation that your hips are actually moving. And then we want to keep them, this leg, where the leg meets the body, tuck that in. Let's bend this knee and begin to hop the back foot forward. You know where we're going now. I'm going to grab the block, drop this down, possibly find my balance first. So looking down is fine. This is a lot of strengthening as well. Your abdominal muscles are stabilizing you. And if you feel like rolling open, sometimes rolling open is not a possibility. And even if it was on one side, it's just not on the other. If you want to, you can lift this arm up. This arm can also just lounge alongside your body. And you'll find that one side is much harder to balance on than the other. Again, that's normal. Completely normal. Good, let's come out the way we came in. Feet forward. Let's make the pinky toe side of your foot parallel to the short edge of your mat. Lift up, hinge, fold yourself forward. You can have your hands touching your thighs. You can walk them down wherever they naturally fall. That feels good for you. Maybe just shake your head. Allow yourself to completely relax here. And use the strength of your legs to come up. So I'm looking forward, pressing my feet into the floor, and I'm pressing my body away from the floor. So from the strength of my legs, floating my upper body up, heels and toes coming all the way in. Good. Let's begin to come down towards the mat again. Come down through squatting, come down through whatever you like. And now is the time to take a resting shape. So you can begin to roll yourself down, which will engage a lot of the abdominal muscles that we've already been firing up. So you can either hold behind your thighs, curl yourself down. As we curl, we feel the abdominals engaging. You can walk your arms down. You could also come down without using your arms, rolling, controlling, trying to place one vertebra at a time. About here, it gets challenging. Good. Beautiful job. Once you come down, find the shape that you'd love to rest in. If you need propping, if you've been here for about 10 seconds and you just notice something does not feel comfortable, grab a blanket, grab a pillow, do something that makes you feel completely comfortable. I want you to be able to relax completely now. Just let everything go. I will stop talking, but I want you to completely relax. I'm going to time us. You have nothing left to do. Invite yourself to slowly come back into this space. Bring your attention back to that wave of breath that massages the abdomen, even though breath is not actually being drawn into your abdomen. But the dropping down of the diaphragm muscle of breathing is massaging all of these organs. That entire area that we were just strengthening, just had time to relax. It's enjoying the massage of your breath right now. When spontaneous movement arises in your body, allow that movement to come in, whatever it is. And if you feel like you need to rest a little more, please do. Otherwise, you can join me in a seated position. There's no rush to get there. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.